Violence at work is an issue our union takes very seriously. In fact, our members' health and safety is NAPE's #1 priority. Violence takes many forms: threatening behavior, verbal or written threats, harassment, verbal abuse, and physical attacks. Everything from spitting to rape to homicide. Every day, NAPE members face violence in the workplace. You go to work to provide services and produce goods for the people of this province. You should be able to perform your job free from fear of being attacked or threatened or worse. Violence in the workplace leaves a mark on workers, physically and mentally. Even anticipating violence can cause physical and psychological problems for workers. Your employer is required to eliminate the risk of violence in the workplace. In jobs where that's impossible, your employer must establish procedures and policies that minimize the risk of violence. According to the Occupational Health and Safety regulations in our province, your employer is required to assess the risk of violence associated with doing your job. Your employer is required to tell you about any risk of violence associated with your job and to inform you about the precautions you should take to protect yourself and others. Your employer is required to tell you about people you may encounter as part of your work who have a history of violent behavior. Getting a handle on violence in the workplace begins with your employer having a zero-tolerance policy, but it also requires a prevention program and workplace education. As workers, we should be taught how to protect ourselves. We should know what to do if we witness or experience workplace violence. If the nature of our work means we may be exposed to violence, we should be provided with protective equipment and taught how to use it. We should be taught procedures to reduce the risk of violence and to protect ourselves if violence happens. If we're convinced our work is unnecessarily dangerous and our employer has refused to address our concerns, we may be able to use our right to refuse unsafe work. Shop stewards and occupational health and safety reps can help us figure that out. And if violence happens on the job, we should report it to our supervisor and our Occupational Health and Safety Committee representative. And talk to our shop steward. Anyone who needs first aid or counseling should get it as quickly as possible. Your employer should notify police and offenders should be prosecuted. We must all work together to take steps to lessen the potential for harm to workers. Employers need to provide increased training, sufficient staffing levels, suitable personal protective equipment, and enhanced security and response procedures, all of which need to be reviewed and constantly updated to ensure workers are properly protected and prepared for potential violent situation in the workplace, because none of us deserve to work in fear.